Hello everyone, my name is Emdy and welcome to episode 1 of my Practical Redstone series. This episode will focus on the blocks you see in front of you, namely Redstone Dust, Redstone Torches, Redstone Blocks, levers, buttons, and pressure plates. This is how they look in vanilla Minecraft, but for both tutorial purposes and personal preference, I will be using texture packs to make them look like this. Let's start off simple with the redstone block. Since redstone is considered the electricity of Minecraft, we use terms like powered and activated to describe its interactions. When a source of power runs into a block, it is said to be powered, and any adjacent blocks to a powered one get activated. Activated means if the block has an action triggered by redstone, it'll do it. For example, this lamp will turn on, this piston will extend, and this gate will open, etc. To help visualize powering and activating, I will use red glass and concrete, where concrete is a powered block and glass are the places next to it where components will get activated. A block of redstone, alias redstone block, is essentially a permanently powered block that can be moved and placed anywhere. Any components adjacent to it get activated, but nothing beyond that, as you can see here. Some other properties are listed here. I'll cover what these mean in the future, but they are here for reference. Shout out to JoaBro for the amazing site I took this from. Moving on to the redstone lamp, which we saw in the last segment. When activated, the redstone lamp emits light and turns on instantly. When you depower it, however, you may notice it does not turn off instantly. I'm slowing down the game with carpet mod so you can see this better. The lamp has 4 game ticks of delay when turning off. You may be wondering what I just said, so let's take a small tangent here. What is a game tick? Minecraft processes things in the game 20 times a second, where in each division all the game events are processed before moving on to the next division. We call these divisions ticks, so one game tick is 1/20th of a second. This is true unless the game is modded or lagging, in which case a tick may take longer to process. Ticks are used to measure game time, delays in circuits, cycle speeds, and much more, so understanding it is important. Coming back to the lamp, this 4 game tick deactivation delay in seconds would be 0.2 seconds. Other properties of the redstone lamp are shown here. We now switch to redstone dust, arguably one of, if not the most complex redstone component. This section will be quite long as there is a lot to cover, so here we go. Redstone dust can be placed on the tops of blocks. When placed down, redstone dust is called a redstone wire by the game. This is shown in the debug screen under the targeted block information, accessed by pressing F3 or function F3. But you may also hear terms like redstone line or dust line. It acts somewhat like electrical wires in real life do. It transfers current from a source to various components, and dust has no delay when doing so. Its activation is instant. This current, called power in the game, has 16 values from 0 to 15, called power levels or signal strengths. This value decreases with distance from the source measured in taxicab distance, easily visualized by the redstone tweaks pack. Power level doesn't affect the functioning of most components. Any value above 0 is enough to activate components, and the output is the same except for a few exceptions which I will cover in the following videos. A redstone wire will power any conductive blocks that it is on and/or visually points into, and of course these powered blocks will activate adjacent components. A conductive block, often called a solid block, is one that allows for the transmission of redstone power through it, and can be tested with the following setup, or you can refer to this block property list and filter by conductivity. Other components can activate dust through conductive blocks, but dust cannot, so a wire pointing into a block will not activate a wire on the other side, but other components can power through the block. By default, when you place a redstone wire, it takes the shape of a cross. When you right-click it, this changes to a dot shape, and the only difference between them is the blocks they power. A cross will power these blocks when it has power, and you can see these are what it visually points into. A dot will only power the block it is on. It is important to note that this is constant, no matter the shape of dust. It will always power the block below it if it is a conductive block, but never the block above. Dust will also change shape to point into certain components, as well as dust itself. Other shapes wires can take include going up a block like this. The lower dust will power the block it is going up, even if it is power level 1. Dust will only go up a block if there is another dust diagonally above it, and it is not below a conductive block. So blocks like these do not block dust from connecting upwards, but blocks like these do. You can therefore make towers of non-conductive blocks and dust, and it works as a vertical power transmitter. But keep in mind that power can go up non-conductive blocks, but it cannot go down the side of them, unlike conductive blocks. This is a way to do one-way signals. This is enough for now, but there is a lot more to dust, so before I move on to the next block, I will mention a couple of things. First, using lots of dust that pulses a lot is discouraged. You will often hear the term dustless, which really means dust updateless, because pulsing dust creates a lot of updates. I'll go over this in a future video, but there are some videos you can refer to for now that I will link in cards. Second, dust updates have different orders depending on their location. A quick demonstration with command block shows this. As you can see, even though these command blocks are increasing in number, the further away from the lever they are, the order of activation is not the same. This order will change based on position in the world. This can be bad for some builds, but it's a topic for another time. If you want a full explanation, I'll link some videos below. Phew, after that madness, let's tone it down a bit. This brings us to the Redstone Torch. Redstone torches can be placed on the top as well as the sides of blocks, but never the bottom. Redstone torches by default basically power two blocks, the block they are in and the one above. Any blocks adjacent to these will get activated, except for the block the torch is placed on. In this state, they also emit light. However, torches also have a different state. When the block a torch is placed on is powered, the torch switches off and no longer emits power or light. This state switching takes 2 game ticks to happen, as you can see here. Do note that if the torch is attached to a non-conductive block, it can never switch states. One last thing that is quite important. If a redstone torch changes state more than 8 times in 60 game ticks, it will burn out. In this state, the torch will turn off and only switch back to normal state when it receives an update. Therefore, it is important not to pulse your torches too much in circuits, although the burnout can be used to make some clocks. Additional torch information can be seen here. We will end off this video with some simple blocks, like this lever here. A lever can be placed on any face of a block, and it has 2 states, which can only be changed by a player. When flicked on, it powers the block it occupies, as well as the block it is attached to, with the adjacent blocks to those getting activated. Levers turn on and off instantly, and more info is shown here. Next, the button. Like levers, buttons can be placed on any side of a block, but unlike levers, they come in 2 main variants, stone and wooden. Stone buttons, such as stone and polished blackstone buttons, are player triggered and stay pressed down for 20 game ticks after being pressed. Wooden buttons can be triggered by both players and projectiles. The duration that they stay powered, however, is interesting. When a wooden button is triggered, it schedules a check 30 game ticks later. If after those 30 game ticks, it is not pressed down by an entity, it will turn off. But if it is being pressed, it will schedule another tick 30 game ticks later, and the cycle continues till there is nothing triggering it, at which point it turns off. This means if a projectile like an arrow or trident hits a wooden button, it triggers for the duration that the projectile is there, and then depowers the next time the scheduled check is processed. If an arrow or trident is not picked up, it despawns after 1 minute. Buttons have the same powering behavior as levers do, as you can see here. Lastly, for this video, we have pressure plates. Pressure plates can only be placed on the top of blocks, and they power the block below them as well as the one they occupy. There are 3 main variants of pressure plates: stone, wooden, and weighted. Stone-type plates, similar to buttons, come in stone and blackstone forms. They are activated by players or mobs whose hitbox intersects with the bottom quarter of the block they occupy. Like wooden buttons, once triggered they will run a check for entities above them every 20 game ticks to know when to depower, and will continue till no mobs or players are found. Wooden type plates are the same in most ways to stone in things like deactivation delay, but differ in things that trigger them. Any entity that intersects the activation range of a wooden plate will trigger it. This includes items and projectiles. The last variant of pressure plates is the weighted kind. These are heavy weighted and light weighted, made of iron and gold respectively. They are activated by the same things as wooden plates, but have a 10 game tick checking cycle for entities instead of the 20 game tick wooden and stone pressure plates have. The main point of these plates, however, is what gives them their name. These plates do not always give full power signals when triggered, unlike all the other inputting power sources I showed today. Instead, the power level they output is depending on the number of individual entities that are triggering them. For light-weighted pressure plates, each individual entity corresponds to a single power level, while in heavy-weighted plates, 10 entities are needed to increase a power level. This concludes our explanation segment, but now I have a bit of homework for all of you, because learning Redstone involves a lot of practice and not just theory. When you have completed these, send screenshots of it on the submissions channel of the Practical Redstone category on NubTech. But be sure to spoiler tag it so people don't accidentally see the solution before they have tried it. If you're struggling with the challenge, there is also a challenge help channel where you can get some hints. Do check out the Discord as I will be sharing some sneak peeks and need feedback over there. Challenge number 1. Opening a door. A simple enough challenge. Make it so these pressure plates open these doors at the same time. Notice the gap between the doors and the plates as well. What you need to do is power these blocks here while keeping all the required redstone hidden underground. Challenge number 2. Combination lock. Taking 8 levers in a line like so. Make it so that when the 2nd, 3rd, 6th and 8th lever are triggered, this lamp will turn on when this button is pressed, only when the combination is correct. You will need to use some logic for this. Feel free to ask for help if you can't get it. Challenge number 3. Lamp display. Using your knowledge of dust and how it powers, connect all these lamps so that they all get powered at the same time. Keep all the redstone behind the build and try to make it neat and compact. Keep in mind that for all these challenges, you are only allowed to use the blocks discussed in this episode and no others. Finally, we come to the end of the video. Thanks for watching this episode. Do share your challenge attempts, and I hope you learned something from this. There's more to come, so subscribe if you want to see that. Leave a like and comment if you found this video useful. Share it with others so they can learn too. And I'll see you in episode 2. Bye!